Recording on the cloud. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our final free workshop series from Grow with Google. I'm so happy that you're here. We've learned so much from our facilitator, Roberto Martinez. And if you've missed any of our workshops, you can log on to our YouTube channel, the Goddess Mercado, and you can find our beautiful series, all facilitated by a wonderful facilitator, Roberto, who most recently also was asked to join the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. So congratulations, Roberto. I'm not going to take too much time. At the end, I have a couple of announcements regarding the mercados and what we're doing. So thank you, Roberto. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Absolutely love being with you all. I'm very sad that unmuted. I apologize about that. So I'm saying thank you so much for having me. I know today's our last session, but that doesn't have to be our last session. We'll figure out ways to work with each other in the near future. And this workshop should have been our first workshop. I absolutely love this workshop because it's exactly the type of workshop we have for Women's Month. And so from our standpoint, maybe we should have got started with this one. In any case, me llamo Roberto Martinez. My name is Robert Martinez, Roberto Martinez, Rob, just not Bob and Bobby. I'm here to help you guys navigate through the world of Google, help you understand how to use digital marketing, how to use the different tools and services available to you como emprendedoras, como ya saben qué, so that you guys can grow and scale your companies using the free digital tools. So this is all around understanding and communicating the value of your business to the community at large. And so with that, let me just plug myself in really quickly. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at robertomar@google.com. No cost to you when it comes to these type of trainings. We're here to help you and empower you and get up and running and getting your business to flourish. Le estás dando mucho amor y mucho cariño. You're putting a lot of energy, a lot of sacrifice. And I know sometimes we don't see that sacrifice because we love what we do, but it's definitely a sacrifice. There's a term called opportunity cost for being here right now. Some of us are in the East Coast. We're giving up something else, like our family, like our friends, like our loved ones. So I'm going to make sure to honor your time and try to provide you the best amount of information as possible in a way that makes it easy for you to take that information and apply it. Okay, with that, enough preambles, right? Let's talk about what is women's will. And so last year, we really wanted to focus on at Google, how do we empower women, how we help them? It was a workforce initiative through Google that helped empower women and provide them certain economic empowerment tools across the world, not just in the United States, because we know you guys are the fastest growing demographic within the small business community. And all the research points that direction, that you guys are going to continue to make businesses opening up new, amazing experiences through your pop-ups, through your products and your services. And so we wanted to talk about a little marketing campaign and little marketing proposals and different marketing tools available to you to help you be able to demonstrate the value that you're providing to your comunidad. Okay, so we have a digital workbook. I'm not going to touch on that because that is outdated. We're going to focus on the first two parts of the series. And if we have a little bit of time, this will be for the future end of a workshop. Maybe we'll do it next year in March instead of in May. But we're going to talk about the entrepreneurial landscape and understanding and communicating your value to the external community, because you guys are doing amazing work. If you guys can do me a big favor right now and just in the chat, let me know where you're visiting from, what's the city, what's the county, what's the state, and more importantly, what is the business? What is it that you decided to spend your hard work, time, and energy developing and nurturing and growing? My company is an agency. It's based out of Long Beach, California. I've been doing this for 5 years in that agency. I've been doing digital marketing for 10 and marketing for 15. So absolutely love the work that I do and working with emprendedoras like yourselves. So let us know on the chat. Love to learn more. Montebello, California, musician, Maria, encantado. Absolutely love it. Who else do we got here? Bay Area. I was just in the Bay, Lisa. nutrition and wellness, always important. Fight me. I want to go get some apple pie, but not today. Not today. I'm going to continue on my diet to get ready for the summer, hot body summer. Cynthia, staffing agency. Well, staffing agencies are great. Really a amazing, difficult, rewarding job, giving people the ability to have their livelihood. Elizabeth, artisan from Compton, obviously love it. Veronica from Coachella, cosmetic handmade, I love it. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us today. Okay, so what is the entrepreneur? Oh, we have more. City Terrace, luxury leather. Yes, love it. Always great. Goddess Mercado, work with nonprofits in California. I need to work with more nonprofits. I'll tell you the truth. I thought I had a great network of nonprofits. I definitely do, but it's always great to expand the empire. All right, so entrepreneurial landscape. What does the entrepreneurial landscape look like right now? And understanding the intention of this program. And so really what I want you to think about is your own journey as a Latina entrepreneur, as a female entrepreneur, and what is that journey and what is the experience to date? Because we want to honor your experience. We want to really understand what you're going through and how that your experience is not necessarily outside the norm, that you have a community. I think Diane does an excellent job with Goddess Mercado and bringing in what I would like to say, convening our community of Latina entrepreneurs together in a place that they could call home. So it's important to find that space. If you don't have that space already, I'm sure all you ladies have that space already because you guys are part of the Goddess Mercado family or familia. But then I want you to think about your future goals as an entrepreneur. Is this a entrepreneurial? Is this a side hustle? Are you trying to do this full time? It's really important to really hone in on what the goal is for this particular career endeavor that you're doing within the wellness, within the cosmetics, within the leather. Is this something that supplements your income, or is this something that you really want to invest full time and really scale? You know, the Great Resignation has showed us that our time and life matters. So we want to make sure we spend that energy of our life in things that mean something to us. And then trying to think about what you want to gain in this particular discussion. All right, so the world we live in, we know Latinas have done an amazing job growing out their space, but we also know there's a lot of room for improvement. And we know that a lot of co-founders, sometimes they don't have the type of community or network within the women in business environment that men do. And so that's a really important topic to know, that we know the plight that you're going through. We understand, and we understand how hard it is to find capital sometimes and be vested in your company to grow. And so what we're trying to demonstrate in these numbers is show you that there is a process here. We know that you're understaffed. We know that you're underfunded, but we're trying to make a difference. And these numbers, the beauty of these numbers is that they have turned on its head in the past 2 years. We saw an explosion of Latina entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs get into the entrepreneurial space in the past 2 years because they realized life is too short. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a problem. We know that more men than women get funded when they start their startups. And the funny thing about that is we also know that women owned businesses actually provide more revenue than their male counterparts. So it's counterintuitive. Again, we understand this is not the lay of the land right now. We understand that you women are powerful people, but it's sometimes slow to catch up when it comes to finding third-party investors into your company. That's why Google has devoted a program called Grow with Google Digital Coaches to help you maneuver through that space and have an ally in your growth journey as an entrepreneur. We also know there's a lot of biases within the business space that people can't identify. And there's what's called the likability bias, which is people that look like us, that talk like us, that look like us. And sometimes we tend to want to do work with those type of people. And then there's the other one's the performance attribution bias, where we think that because it comes from a certain gender, it has more relevance. Or we might sell ourselves short with our ideas because they might not be quote unquote certain types of business ideas. And that creates a bias where the performance that you're doing is not comparable to other folks from the opposite gender. And that's just false. As you saw earlier, the revenue model that you guys are doing, you guys are driving more revenue than the male counterparts. Maternity bias is probably the one that, in my eyes, is the most egregious. This is my personal opinion. And the reason why that is because they say, oh, well, they're having kids and they don't really care about their careers because they choose and they opt into having children. And that's just not the truth. You guys are putting multiple pressures on your own career, and you guys are choosing that. It does not mean that your business has to suffer. You do have to compromise, but what does that compromise look like? And why can't we as a community, as a society, support your decisions to make sure that you're still able to deliver on your dreams? And so creating an ecosystem of resources available to you to allow you to be able to make it through that, what we call that valley of launching your business, regardless if you have children or not, is extremely important for us. And then the performance evaluation bias, I'm not going to dwell on that too much, but this is a great case study with Lucy Lee, which is a founder of Airwallex, and she won Entrepreneur of the Year a couple years back. And really what she's trying to talk about is, how does your age and gender affect the way folks within your environment see you? And having a place at the table. And sometimes what we as folks are starting off in the entrepreneurial space have to do is create that space, create that environment. That's why Dan, for me, is so amazing, because, you know, I'm a big believer, if they don't open the door, make your own door. And I think that's what Goddess Mercado has done, is create your own space. And that's the power of digital. So to tie this back up to the marketing component and how to communicate your value, understanding that you don't need to wait on others to get started. There's resources out there available to you now more than ever to allow you to do what you want to do. And so what does that mean is you have allies within the community that can help you knock on doors and open those doors, or create doors, in the sense of, hey, you know, I have this idea, I'm going to get started. I went through these proper channels. No one wants to fund me. Well, now we have CDFIs that can fund microloans. We understand that is a great avenue to get funding for your idea to get started. The other thing is we kind of walk about the impact of representation and how it can't be ignored. And we know that women outperform men when it comes to starting up their own businesses. And we also know that women, this is a very important statistic, consume 85%. They don't necessarily consume, but they purchase 85% of consumer goods out in the marketplaces. So you guys are driving that purchasing power that we see communicated across the United States and across the world. You guys are controlling the purse, not necessarily the actual purse. It's an expression in economic terms that you're controlling the spend when it comes to a household. So we know there's a big market for your products and your ideas and your services to be captured. Now, we also know that you tend to outperform men in certain industries if you hold everything constant. So what does this mean? This means you're valuable. I mean, it's a feel-good story, but it's also a financial story where you are valuable, not just because your ideas and you as an individual are valuable, but it's a strong business case. And that's what we want to do. We want to marry the two. We want to marry the business case with the actual, this is the right thing to do. So those two together will allow us to communicate the value that you have towards your community, that you have towards your society in the form of the products and services that you provide. So one of the first things we always talk about is imposter syndrome and communicating with confidence, right? Many times, I was just talking to Dan about this. It's like, hey, we're trying to create value in our community. We're trying to help, but sometimes, you know, we put people in front of others and they're just not ready. And what do I mean by this? We might not provide the proper resources and the proper tools that they need to feel confident, because we know that their ideas are valuable, and we know that their ideas are valuable intrinsically because they actually have self-worth, and they're valuable monetarily because the actual money value is there to drive the revenue and to be able to grow the company. But when it comes to communication, you know, it's always best to be prepared. My coach used to say, you play like you practice. This is not something that you guys, I expect everyone in this group already does this very well. And it's, you know, be prepared, clear and specific. Don't be afraid to slow down and even pause. Eliminate filler words and be aware of your body language. This is one of the problems that I always faced when I was starting off. And I had an amazing mentor in my boss about 5-6 years ago. I was working for a company in New York. And I like telling you this story because it kind of helps me feel and connect with that imposter syndrome. So we had an executive board meeting, and this is a multi-billion with a B dollar company. And I'm a junior associate at that time. And my manager, she's pretty senior. She's a VP and she's managing me. She's like, hey, I'll take you under my wing. I'll walk you into the VP meetings and I'll let you sit on the table. And so we walk into the room and it's a long table, a rectangle, not a round table, a rectangle. And obviously it's very straightforward. The man sat at the front at the front of the table. And there were so many people in that conference room that I didn't feel ready. And there were seats against the wall. And I went, and because I didn't feel like I was ready, I sat against the wall. And my boss and everyone else filled around the table. And then the meeting started. She turned around, looked at me, didn't say anything. An hour later, the meeting adjourned. We walked out. She's like, come into my office. And she scolds me. She says, that's the first and last time I'm ever going to bring you to a board meeting if you decide to be a fly in the wall. I didn't bring you in for you to sit against the wall. I brought you in to have a seat at the table. I don't care if you're the most senior person or the most junior person, you belong here. And so that imposter syndrome, having confidence to sit on the table and showing up authentically. And how do you do that? How could I have done that during that situation? Well, I could have been prepared. Maybe if I felt I was prepared for that meeting and took notes and stayed up late, have specific talking points. I just had a meeting with the administrator of the SBA, Miss Isabella Guzman, and everyone around the table were senior level people. The beauty of it was like I was one of 3 men and there were 6 women, which is great. And you know, the women were prepared. They had their laptops up, they had their tablets up, they had their pen and paper up. I was not prepared. And I walked away from that meeting realizing I need to follow these tips. I need to be prepared at all times. I need to show up. I can't have what are called filler words, which is ums and ahs. And I need to control my body language. One of the things that I saw with one of my managers is that when she presents, she shakes a lot, her hands. And so what I told her to do is ask her to bring something that makes her feel comfortable when she presents. And she's like, I don't want to present anymore. And so what we do is we keep practicing her presenting in front of people and holding that one thing that she feels comfortable with. It could be a token. It's just a safety net for her. And slowly but surely, she started feeling more comfortable. And so these are key pieces of information that helps us feel more comfortable when we go out there. Now, crafting your pitch. Right? I love this idea because I always learn with this idea. So you always want to think about when you're talking to potential investors, potential clients and customers, what is it that you're trying to describe? Most of us in this group are describing what are called our value proposition. And what do I mean by our value proposition? We're communicating to our community why they should buy from us. So you want to do that in a succinct manner. And really, what it comes down to is, what is the pain point you're feeling? What is it that your product or your service is going to fix? So we talked about beauty and health and wellness from one of our ladies. I forgot who it was that has that company. What does that mean for us? Well, that means that when you talk to someone, what do? We improve your lifestyle. We help you live longer. How do we go about doing that? By creating an environment where you touch all the value points when it comes to health and wellness. That means food, that means meditation, that means spiritual, that means emotional. So we cover all that within our holistic program. So it's not just you exercising or you eating right, but it's also you meditating and spending time for yourself so that it's a comprehensive solution. So really help describe what are the 1, 2, 3 takeaways. Be able to communicate to your client what the major problem that they're facing. it's summer's coming up. I know you want to shed off those 5 extra pounds, 10 extra pounds, or, whatever that happens to be, the winter 10 pounds or the college 10, whatever it's called. And so we understand that, and we created this great program that within 10 weeks or 5 weeks, we're able to lower that. And then the benefits of working with you, we provide high quality personal assistance. We tailor your prospective results for you as an individual, because you're not just like everyone else. And so being very clear and succinct with that is extremely important. And then this is probably, from my standpoint, the most important thing. Once you demonstrate value and how you solve the problem, you have to transition the conversation to a needs conversation. And what do I mean by that? It's called a discovery or a needs assessment. And what that means is, when I talk to Liz, when I talk to Andrea, and I'm talking to them about my company, and I say, hey, you know what, we can really help you sell more products or services, or bring in more customers. We just need to understand a little bit more about you as a customer and what your pain points are. You mind if I set up 5 minutes earlier next week just to talk about your needs and how we can fulfill some of those needs that you have? That easy transition is going to help you close that deal. And it just takes practice. What I would recommend you do, and this sounds really, how would I say this? It's tough in the beginning, but it's tough in a way because you haven't done it. It's like a muscle memory. Once you do it 2 or 3 times, have your 3 things you want to talk about, position it in a way that's creative, and then transition out. So have your exit strategy. So usually when you go in a networking event, you want to leave the door open and also transition for that prospective customer to know that you're trying to follow up. So you go in, you introduce yourself. Hey, I'm here at this amazing Goddess Mercado event. I know I've been looking forward to this all week. I'm really looking forward to meeting other people as well, as I'm sure you are. That is your out. So you just created an out to let them know that you're going to exit the conversation eventually in a way that doesn't seem blunt. And then you say, what do you do? And then they tell you what they do. And then usually the rest reciprocate that statement. And then they tell you, oh, what do I do? It's like, well, I help people like you be able to lose weight for the summer or have a holistic wellness lifestyle by doing 3 easy things. Open-ended question leads the prospective customer to ask another question. Go, how do you do that? Oh, I'm happy you asked. Love to talk about that. Maybe if you have time next week to discuss, happy to set up a discovery call or just to walk through how we can help you. And then they might give you the card, they might not give you the card, but at least now you're transitioning the conversation. That took less than 2 to 3 minutes. And after you do a little bit more small talk, you own that conversation. And then you say, well, thank you so much. Love talking more about you. I look forward to connecting with you next week. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm really excited to meet other people that are here. I'll see you around. And then you exit that conversation. Very smooth, very organic, but you're focused, you're talking to the client, you practice that pitch, and you provide the benefit to that customer, but you also create that hook to let them know they're gonna help them out. The way I always envision these type of pitches, it doesn't matter if it's a 30-second elevator pitch, a networking pitch, it's a teaser. It's like a movie teaser, right? When you're at a movie theater and you're waiting for your main movie to start, there's all these 30-minute, 1 minute, 2 minute teasers for future movies are coming out. That's the same thing you want to do. You want to entice them enough to want them to have you follow up. Let me stop there. Any questions so far about how you would create this elevator pitch? No questions. Okay. Awesome. They're like, I already know how to do this. What are you talking about? All right. So
actually, Robert, like I'm thinking of what you're saying, and I'll turn on my camera. I'm thinking of what you're saying. I'm thinking of purses because that's my business. And I'm thinking, okay, so I can sell the business, I can sell my brand, but how do I make that appointment or draw the customer and convince her that she's going to need my purse?
That's a great question. So you
Since
don't
I
sell
have you on the platform, thank you.
No, this is a great question. You don't sell purses. You sell a lifestyle. That's really what your purse is. So it's wrong for you to think of the functionality of the product. It's right. It's not a bad thing, but it's like the first level, right? The first level of buying a phone is making calls, but do you use the phone to make calls? Maybe. Out of all the things you use your phone for, you really use your phone to stay connected to people and to places and to friends. It doesn't matter how, but you're connected to people. You're connected through text messaging, through social media, through email marketing, through emails, through FaceTiming. So that's the device. The device is there not to make calls, but to stay connected to people. The purse is there, yes, to hold your belongings, but that's not what it is. It signals to the community at large who you represent and how you self-identify. So it's a cultural piece. It's like, this is an extension of who I am as a person. And so what you're trying to communicate to that prospective buyer is like, hey, I love your style. I think we have some amazing products that highlight your style, that could really speak to your values of who you are as a person. Love to show you some time, and maybe you could look through my catalog and see and give me some feedback on what you think. Something like that. Now you're talking about who they are as an individual. You moved away from, hey, I have something that you can put stuff in, to, no, this is about you, and this is about having a product that resonates with who you are as a person. And that's what I want to connect. I want my product to connect with you. And I believe that every single person I have has the right person in mind. And it's just matching up those two things, your style and who you are as a person with this particular item that has cultural significance, that has a meaning behind it. It's not just a purse. So that's how you get to the emotional piece. Everyone buys based on emotion. The logic is important. It'll get you through the door at the end of the day. But when you buy a car, how many times have we walked into a store and we're like, oh man, we love it, but it's too expensive, but we love it. And so we end up buying it because it's emotional. It's not logical or rational. So here you have two different ways to pitch, right? You have the sales pitch, and hopefully I answered your question. Yes, okay, good. So yes, you connect with them emotionally and you help them understand the value proposition. You could talk about numbers later, especially if you're a product or a service that has to do with numbers, but you really want to connect with the value. What is the jobs to be done? What is this particular product or service going to change, and how is it going to change your life? How is it going to make your life easier? Always important to develop out your pitches according to who you're talking to, and tailor each one to the person and their needs. There's no one size fits all. You definitely have a Rolodex of ideas in your head of what they can potentially want. And be very clear about how your service or your product benefits them. Like, no one wants to hear about how your company's growing at $1 million a day and all this stuff. Like, they want to know, how does this make my life easier? How does this make my life better? How am I going to be better off because I use your product or service? Now, a lot of people love this piece, which is the benefits of the products. Those are the specifics. This is bigger, faster, stronger. You could definitely get into that, but I will let them open up that piece of conversation when it comes to the benefits of the product. So if they talk about, hey, I'm really trying to, I have a wedding to come to, and summer, now that the world's opening up, we have a bunch of weddings in the summer. Boom, that's your opening, right? For health and wellness, because you know that they're got to get ready for the wedding. How many of us go on diets before we go to a big wedding? All of us do, right? So now you have your opening that you know they need. That's a need they have. Oh, how much time do you have? Oh, we have about a month and a half. Oh, no kidding. We actually have a plan that's 5 weeks long to get you to look amazing by the time you get to that. So now you're tapering that messaging specifically to their needs. And then you could talk about the bells and whistles, like, oh yeah, we do personalized recipes, or we have HIIT training, or whatever that happens to be. That's secondary to the need that they have. And then efficiencies. We talked about different types of efficiencies a little bit earlier, but also think about the holistic medicine, Alize. Like, you're going to sleep better. One of the biggest things that I did in the past 5 months of my life is I cut out coffee. Why? Because one of my mentors, who was also in the space of health and wellness, said, hey, Robert, have you ever thought about being over caffeinated? And I never thought about this. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, maybe you can't sleep because you're over caffeinated. Have you cut out coffee? And I've never thought about that. I'm like, hey, maybe he has a point. Maybe I am consuming a lot of coffee. And he gave me that free advice. And sure enough, I cut out the coffee and I slept like a baby. And I've been sleeping like a baby for the past, I mean, here or there, 1 or 2 days that I don't sleep well, but by and large, this year, I've been sleeping the best sleep I've had in my life. Guess what I did the very next month? I said, hey, I want to sign up for one of your courses. Because if you had that insight that changed my life for the past 10 years, that I couldn't sleep well and didn't even know just because of caffeine, I want to talk about your proteins. And he put me on this, on the whole diet around protein, how to increase my protein intake, how to lower my calorie intake. And it's been working wonders. So providing that value to that customer, seeing where their pain point is extremely important. Now, if you want to go raise money, talk about it in a position. Investors always think about scale. Like, how big are we? How big are we going to go? How many businesses? How many customers? Right? So consistently positioning and tailoring that product or service to your audience, depending on what their specific fit is. Market opportunity is always big. Hey, I'm going after a very niche market, ages 35 to 45. These are women who, one of the other markets that I rather use this example. Most of my aunts have all had their children go to college and graduate. So now it's just them and their husband, and they're going bonkers. They're like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do with all this free time? Like, what's my purpose in life? I raised these amazing kids, and now they're off to college and they don't need me anymore. And now I'm like at home, not doing anything. So that's a perfect market opportunity. And so one of my aunts is like, well, I went to therapy and I went to Zumba, but I also like therapy for me was so important. I had to go through 5 different therapists to find the one that could speak to what I am going through, which is someone that is no longer worried about her kids every day, is no longer worrying about paying the bills, that now is like done with what it means to be, in her mind. This is my aunt speaking, traditionalist, born in Mexico in a little pueblito of maybe 200 people. She's like, I don't know what it means to be a woman. My perception of womanhood was raising your kids, having a bunch of grandkids, and that's not going to happen. Like my daughters are never going to get married, and if they do get married, they're not going to get married when they're 40 because they're so like business driven, which is great. I commend her, but she doesn't know what to do now. So for her, she really was trying to find a therapist that could speak to that specific need. And so maybe what you are is like, hey, we're looking for women who are going through this specific need, and that tells you a market opportunity. Now, the flip side of that market opportunity is how big is the market, right? So the bigger, what's the tangible market size? I think it's called TAM. And so what is that size? How big is that size? Is it 1 billion? Is it 3 billion? Is it 1 million? Is it 3 million? Does it matter if it's small? Does it matter if it's large? These are the key talking points you have to drill down when it comes to your business model to get those investors to say, yes, I'll cut a check. Now, they don't have to be sophisticated investors. They could be your friends and family. If you tell your friends and family, hey, I live in LA, let's say you live in Downey. Downey's 300,000 people. I was 300,000 people. 75,000 people are women. Out of those 75,000 people, the average income level in Downey is 45,000. It's higher here in Downey than in any other Latino community. And so I'm launching my company in Downey because I know there's higher net worth value individuals that are women in Downey than in anywhere else. And I know they have exposable income. That is telling me that you understand the market, telling me that you understand the individual in that market, and you know how to go after that market. And this is, again, less about the bells and whistles of the product or service that you're offering, more about understanding where the market lies and how to grow that market. And then you are doubling, tripling, quadrupling that investment. Give me $100,000 in a year, I'll triple that. That's the kind of stuff that you want. Really, really innovative stuff here, right? So that's what you want to think through. How do investing in you will bring returns to them? You give me $100,000, I'll bring you $300,000 within the first year. I'll show you the scope. And then what you do is called a case study. You take an example of where, like, I took $10,000 from my own money because I have skin in the game, and I used those $10,000 to drive $30,000 worth of sales. So if you give me $100,000, it's not unrealistic to believe I could do the same for and triple those sales numbers. Now, that's an example of how you talk to different people in the audience, right? One is an investor that you're trying to get money to help you scale your company. One is a client that you're trying to get them to buy. So you always want to alternate between these two if you're looking for investors. Now, if you're just looking for sales, dale gas, just go for it. Just go and create your elevator pitch and really hone in there. Let me stop there and see if anyone has any questions before I go to the do's and don'ts. Okay, no questions. I'll keep going. All right. Again, imposter syndrome. Don't be like me. Don't sit up against the wall. When you're at a networking event, don't have imposter syndrome. Don't think you don't belong. You're the authority in your space. You're the person that knows nonprofits. You're the person that understands how to do cosmetics handmade. You're the artisan that has created some amazing cultural pieces that really speak to your culture and your ethnicity. Speak from a position of knowledge. I like Cynthia, that's a staffing agency. She has almost 12, 14 years of experience in that space. You guys are the market leader. Always talk about your credibility. I don't like name dropping, but I do like referring to things like, enough to let them know that I've been in the industry for some time. Like, hey, many moons ago, I was working with the Canadian government, helping them invest into the LA market. And that helps them understand, hey, I work with big companies, I work with governments, I help them invest into other markets. Always talk about the vision. People want to be connected to your purpose. And that's extremely important. What is your purpose? What is your reason for starting this company? We all started the company for a reason. Money is one of the reasons. There's not one or the other, but people want to be attached to something bigger than themselves. So why did I start my company? Well, I started my company because my mom was an entrepreneur. I saw how much she struggled. And then when the internet came along, her business suffered. I don't want that to happen to other women. So what did I decide to do? Create a marketing agency that helps Latinas and small businesses. Boom, that's my mission and vision, right? Do you want to be connected with that? I care about you because you remind me of people like my mother. That's something bigger than just, hey, I create websites, or I create social media posts, or I do presentations for Google. No one cares. Everyone could do that. But now my mission is bigger. My mission is more meaningful. And that's what you girls have in spades. You ladies are powerful. And so you guys have that bigger mission and vision. You guys are automatically given that by God's will, if you guys believe in God. But I don't want to get into the religious piece. Okay, focus on the size of the opportunity. How big of an opportunity is the market? Now, people always try to test you at numbers. Always have those in your back pocket, right? So what do I mean by that? Numbers will never win you the sale, but they will lose you the sale. So if you don't know your numbers inside out, like, okay, if I give you $10,000, what are you going to do with it? Or how much should I expect as a return on my investment? How soon can I expect that return on investment? Tell authentic stories. Kind of what I did today. I talked about my tias, right, that are going through struggles. I talked about my struggle where I was green and didn't know how to have what they call executive presence, where I show up to a meeting and I don't feel like I belong. So I'm scared and I don't have that executive presence. And you see that like some ladies that just walk in and just own the room, and they walk with an air of confidence. That hasn't been given to them. They train day in and day out. They have the proper posture. They talk like this, thumbs in. They don't thumbs up. They never point. That all is part of the training. There's a lot of studies on this. Even creating this little signal of closing your thumb and doing this, they say that retention of the point that I'm making increases by 30%. And then closed hands as well. A lot of different tools there to communicate nonverbal communication to your audience, that you're in control, you're allowing for the pace of the conversation, slowing down your tempo so that you could add emphasis to certain words. The other thing that we always do sometimes is we over dwell on we belong here. So we talk about how amazing we are. Don't do that. I mean, you already belong. You don't need to prove it to anyone. You're here already. The details, when you start getting into the weeds, people's eyes glaze over. You don't have to, again, don't prove yourself. You belong here. Don't over or underestimate. People can smell that a mile away. Don't be too conservative. So this sounds kind of weird, but like you never want to say it's bigger than it is. It's $1 million, dollars a day. Like, no, it's closer to like $15,000 a given month. Conservatively, if we are more aggressive, we'll probably double that number or triple that number in the next quarter. That is more realistic, and they tend to trust you more. Okay, resiliency is an entrepreneurial's greatest asset. So yeah, like, Diane and I were just talking about a really difficult situation that just happened, where we want to help 100 businesses, but we partnered with the wrong partner and it didn't work out. We have to be resilient. We have to learn from those mistakes. I keep a running tab of all the mistakes I made. It sounds masochistic, but I want to know what I did wrong, and how I would do it differently. So when the next opportunity presents itself, I don't make the same mistake. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. So we want to be ready for those things. Resourcefulness, find a way. Think about it. There's, it's lateral thinking is one way of talking about it. I like divergent thinking. We're all entrepreneurs here. What does divergent thinking even mean, Roberto? I have no idea what that word means. I didn't know it either until a couple of years ago. And it means that there is no one right answer. There's no, this is not like math. 2 + 2 does not equal 4 here. There's multiple ways to win. There's multiple ways to succeed. We have to just think about different ways of succeeding. It's not a black and white thing. It's a lot of gray area in business. So maybe we won't get that big $1 billion contract, but maybe we get a lot of little $1 million contracts. I'm happy with that. And always, always, always remain optimistic. And the way I always attach to optimistic mentality is to stay connected to my purpose. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because it's not about me. It's about my mother. So super important to always remember why you're doing this. It's not about the money. It's secondary to the purpose. And they will drastically pull you from those tough times that you're going through. Oh, okay. Again, I kind of touched this already. Knowing your why is extremely important, and it keeps you motivated and sustained. And so we want to stay motivated. Your why will keep you motivated. Your habits will keep you going, right? So your why am I doing this, right? That's the inspiration. That's me getting emotional thinking about my mother, right? Oh yes, like, I'm gonna run through walls. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to take care of my family and my community. But eventually life hits you. So you need to create habits. And what do I mean by a habit? So what is it that I do day in and day out that will push me through those difficult times and make sure I don't relapse and I don't go backwards? So you always want to write down your why and reflect on it anytime you're having a tough time. Like, okay, I know why I'm doing this. I know it's hard, but this is why I'm doing this. Is why. And then figure out the habits that you need to have to keep pushing you through. I wake up at 5:30 every day. Why do I wake up at 5:30? Because that's my habit. Now, what do you do at 5:30, Roberto? Great question. I meditate. I go running on the beach. I might go to work early. I might, cook. I just know that if I wake up early, I have more time in my day to do what matters to me. And so that's a habit of success for me. It doesn't work for everyone. It works for me. And I realize the more I do that, the more likely I am to succeed. All right, so let's talk about women. And let's tie this back together. What we just covered. And so think about that resilience piece. Think about your why. And think about how you would apply your why in your business. How do you actualize your why? What actions and concrete actions are you taking to execute on that why and communicating that externally? One of my mentors told me and this was hard for me to understand. He's kind of a philosopher. He said, all actions are an expression of value. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, just think about it. Just spend a couple of days and sit on that thought. And what I think he was talking to me about is, how am I spending my time? How am I using my time to succeed? And so when I look at my phone and it tells me how much time I was on Instagram, how much time I was on Facebook, how much time I was on LinkedIn, how much time I was on YouTube, and it's like multiple hours, that means that my actions are an expression of what I value. And if I really value my work and my community, then I'll be doing the work in the community. But my phone is telling me that my actions are saying something different. My actions are saying I'd rather be looking at TikTok videos for 2 hours. And so aligning your actions with your values is a really important exercise to do. And so we want to think about what you will do, not what you're thinking of doing, and actualize that and see what actions am I taking right now, and are they attached to the values that I have as a person? Am I living those values? And so how am I doing that? I will, and then you fill in the blank to help you keep motivated. So you have your vision. How will you fulfill that vision? I will wake up at 5:30. I will follow up with clients within the first 10 minutes that they email me. I will email a new client every day for the next 30 days. I will reach out to someone that I respect and look up to learn from them and have coffee with them. These little actions have long-standing effects long-term. It's not going to happen the first time or the second time or the third time, but if you consistently do that, it's going to help you through that difficult time. And then I always lean on folks like Diane, and I love being vulnerable because I'm not perfect. I don't know anyone that is. So it's important to show up and be authentic in where you're at in the moment. So that's extremely important piece. I personally think that women have this in spades. You guys are able to open up and be vulnerable. And I think that allows you guys to understand how to fix the challenges that you have in front of you. And so as you're moving forward from this presentation, I want you to commit to some actions that you will do in the next couple of weeks. I want you to commit to something right now and say, I will, and then what are you going to commit to for the remainder of this week? It could be one, it could be two, it could be three things, but just tell yourself. You don't have to tell anyone else. You could hold it to yourself. And in the morning, when you wake up in the morning, just look at that and say, I will do this. It's going to get me closer to my dream. Whatever that dream, whatever that mission and vision that you have is, and you continuously communicate that. Maybe I will pitch my company to one new person every day for the next 5 days. Whatever it is. All right, ladies. Here's your action plan. I want you to commit to what you will achieve in the next couple of days. So today I want you just to write it out. What are the action items that you want to do? And then we'll set up a future meeting with Goddess Mercado to do part 2, to tie this all together. And I'm gonna hold you ladies to it when we come back and reconvene. Dan is really great at convening folks at her space. And I really do appreciate that. I have to make it back there. I absolutely love her space. So that you hold yourself accountable, but you'll let other people hold you accountable too, and let other people be part of your light. All right, with that, I'd love to thank you for your time and open it up to any questions that you may have for me about this presentation.
Thank you, Roberto. I want to encourage you ladies to ask questions. And I also want to take advantage that I have you here, and you just said that you're going to give us a part 2 for this workshop. So I'm so grateful for you, and I want to take the opportunity to thank you. You're such a beautiful speaker. You know, I love that you shared stories that we're all able to make connections. I love the story about your tia. I love that you reminded us that women do outperform men, and being part of the Goddess Mercado and seeing all these wonderful women work, I see it. I see their work ethic. I see their style. I see their love. I see their passions for what they do. And you definitely have that, and you've shared that with us. I love you. I love having you. I love listening to you. I love learning about you, and I see how valuable you are. And I did share in the beginning, but I want to share it again with the ladies who joined. Roberto was appointed to the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. So this is a great person to know. And tomorrow when I email you, I'm going to go ahead and include his contact information, his agency, so that you can reach out. Roberto, thank you so much. And I want to know more people like you. So I know that you're creating opportunities and you're helping spaces like the Goddess Mercado and the Queer Mercado, so that we can count on people like you, so that we can all grow, so that we can all have a seat at the table. Thank you, te quiero. Ladies, please, if you don't have any questions, I ask you to please fill out the survey. And another announcement is that May 14th is the Goddess Mercado. Bella Emprendedoras is doing a Mercado takeover. Rocio, who is our partner with Google, Grow with Google series, is actually gonna, she hired a stage and she's going to be showcasing and highlighting Latina business owners, boss moms, and they're gonna share their journey. So this is gonna be an amazing Mercado. We still have space for vendors. You have to have a unique product. And we're also promoting, we're growing a farmer's market, because I wanna have somewhere to shop in my community for fresh veggies and healthy food, right? And I want to announce that this summer we're going to have a Goddess Mercado night market. We're going to have dance classes, we're going to have mingling, we're going to have Mariachi Gona from Mariachi Divas is going to be curating a lot of talents. We're going to have so much fun, and it's going to be within our community, with our family, with all of you. Roberto, I hope you can make it. You know, I know you're busy, but I'll be reaching out and reminding you. So if we don't have any questions, ladies, you have questions? I don't know if you got to read the questions, Roberto.
No, they're leaving amazing comments. I appreciate you all, ladies. You understand. You guys motivate me. You guys keep me pushing for more. Hopefully, I could find more resources for you all. And I'm a big fan of OPM, other people's money, to help our community out. And so lean on me. I'll lean on you. We'll lean together, and we'll grow our community stronger. So appreciate you all.
Perfect. And thank you for the reminder. Ladies, we have the purse power. So let's stick together. Let's help each other out. And happy May the 4th. May Roberto's force be with all of you. Bye, ladies. I will stop recording now.